Greetings YouTube and welcome to Awaken the Dragons 15 Galactic Overlord. That's right, it's that time again in which a new set is coming out and I overview what is important for dragons in this and just the cards that you should really try and make an effort to get. That all being said, I've got a lot to talk about in this video, so let's get started, shall we? When looking at Galactic Overlord, you have to think about the heretics. They are the new archetype in this set that has gotten the most attention, and for a good reason, as they did do a lot of damage in the OCG for a while. I don't know what's happening right now, but there are some things about these guys we need to take into consideration. Number one, we're not getting Gustav Max Cannon in this set. This means that we don't really have that powerful of an OTK potential compared to Japan, where they can just basically go balls to the walls, kill, and they don't care because they've got ways to handle our outs. Whereas here, it's a bit of a different kind of meta. We have a more relevant rabbit matchup. Our Injectors are just stupid. And overall, I think an OCG style of Heretic Dragon deck is just not going to cut it here. The deck is going to need to change and find a different way in order to operate so that it can survive here. And that being said, the gauntlet has now been thrown by fellow Dragon players. Let's find a way to make this shit work. So, the Heretic Dragon cards to look out for in this set, though, aren't that much different from what I outlined in my Heretic Dragon deck profile plus overview a while back. Definitely recommend you guys take a look at that, just so you can get a good idea of what their monster effects do, because I really don't want to spend another 15 minutes outlining what they do here. Just that the monsters you want to look out for are Heretic Dragon of Gebeb, Su, Tefnut, Nebthet, and Esset for the main deck monsters. As far as their other guys, not really good. I mean, the other ones are just jank, to be perfectly honest. Watt Dragon should be easy to get as a common. Most of the Heretic Dragons are common to rare. Gebeb is the lone exception. He's a super. And as far as their boss monsters go, Adams is thankfully a super rare as opposed to a secret rare like I feared. So he should also be fairly easy to get. He might be expensive. I'm thinking perhaps $30 to $40. I mean, he's like the Hornet in this set. But for the most part, though, it shouldn't be too hard to get all the good Heretic monsters. And as far as Heretic Dragon, Sun Overlord of Heliopolis, whatever the hell you want to call him, if you can pull one, that's fine. But honestly, I just do not like this card, at least compared to Adams. And the people keep asking me why. And the thing is, Heretic Dragons are great at spamming out rank 6s. Rank 8s require so much more in order to do this kind of stuff. You've got to tribute off 2 Heretic monsters in order to get 2 level 8s out and overlay them to make the Heliopolis and then just pop a couple cards in the field. Whereas for Adams, you just have to special summon Tefnut, tribute it for Su, bam! You can already do your rank 6s because you'll get a Watt Dragon out of your deck or a Luster Dragon number 2, blah 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 blah. Spell and trap support for this deck also includes a Heretic Seal of Convocation. That's a rare. You've got Heretic Seal of the Ashes. I'm not too convinced on whether or not it's a good card for this type of deck, especially when we can't play the Japanese style of Heretic Dragons. But if you pull one, that's great, but I don't think it's going to be a much sought after card. And then lastly, as far as Heretic Dragon support goes, there is card D to consider. Japan's been running this card in the deck because it helps fill the OTK. I don't know if it's as needed here if you try and go a control route, but if you can get your hands on one, then more power to you, because I see this being the most expensive card in the entire set. As for non-Heretic Dragon related support, we got ourselves actually a couple of good cards. Number one would be Drac Connection. This card returns 1 dragon from your hand to your deck to add a dragon from your deck to your hand of equal level. Sound familiar? What it does for us is a couple things. Number one would be Heretics. Its ability to basically swap a vanilla dragon that you happen to draw and don't want and get yourself a Su or Tefnut, then proceed to go off, is invaluable in fixing up garbage hands such as the one I mentioned. Its applications in the Disaster Dragon are also very interesting, as you can take the Red Eyes Wyvern that you drew and you don't want, and then swap it out for a Quackmere Drago, or a Divine Dragon Apocalypse, or that teched-in level 4 dragon type monster you're running, such as, say, Alexandrite Dragon. And it also allows you to swap Mass Dragon, Delta Flyer, and Exploder Dragon around And in some cases, if you're still running it, you can also swap Dread Dragon and Totem Dragon around. Other builds, such as the Egg, can utilize Drag Connection, or if you swap the Blue Eyes White Dragon, Light and Darkness Dragon, and Pandemic Dragon can use this to swap Malefic Stardust Dragon with Light and Darkness Dragon. So it has applications in other builds. I don't know if I would run Drag Connection and Pandemic Dragon, but having that option to toolbox my Malefic Stardust Dragons is nice. I just don't know if this card is really usable in Chaos Dragons, as your only level 6 dragons are like Pulsar, your level 8, 7s are just Dark Arms. I don't think it's really going to be useful for them, and Dragoon can't really use the card at all. Trials and Tribulations is garbage. I'm just going to say that right now. Its effect activates only during the end phase, and when you're using something like that, why not just play Super Rejuvenation and just draw a bunch of cards? I mean, it's a secret rare, it's a bad secret rare, and it's going to be the one that all of us pull and don't want. The next dragon I want to talk about is Queen Dragon Din. She is a rank 4 Dark Dragon-type Exceeds monster with respectable stats, and her effect is Dragon-type monsters other than herself cannot be destroyed by battle. Once per turn, by detaching a material from this card, you can select one level 5 or higher Dragon-type monster in your graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field. Its effect is negated, and it cannot attack this turn. Now, this is a very interesting card. Number 1, her ability to negate your monster effects, that's permanent. While that dragon remains face up in the field, it can't use its effect, really. I mean, you can still activate it, but it'll just fizzle out. The only way you're going to be able to get that dragon's effect to work is if you book it, or you flip it face down through other means, such as wind up Zen mains, and then flip summon it. That being said, this is a really powerful ability. She can revive Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon to the field, and while he can't use his effect, he's still a 2800 attack beatstick, and her first effect prevents dragons from being run over in battle, which has a couple applications that I will get to in a short bit. But let's get back to her revival ability. She is capable of bringing back not only Darkness Metal Dragon, but she can bring back useful dragons such as Stardust Dragon, because his effect resolves off the field. She can bring back Heretic Dragons, who are also good in this case because their special summoning effects resolve, again, off the field. And like Pulsar Dragon, again, his effect resolves off the field, so he doesn't even care if you can't use his effect because it's irrelevant. And then there's her ability to prevent monsters to be destroyed by battle. Pulsar Dragon benefits the most from this, as he can just crash into 2500 attackers, and that card will die, but he will not. So he'll basically force out a Mirror Force this way, and then he'll replace himself with a Darkness Metal Dragon, yada yada yada. But there's a couple more trolling plays you can do with this card. Most interestingly is the one with Golem Dragon. Remember him? That's right. He's the one that prevents dragons except himself from being targeted for attacks. Now, since Queen Dragon prevents him from being destroyed by battle, you've got yourself a bit of a soft lock going, as dragons can't be killed by battle except Queen Dragon, but Golem Dragon will prevent any dragon except itself from being targeted for attacks, so your opponent really has no choice but to try and kill it through battle, in which they can't. And most lulzingly, Golem Dragon can be special summoned with Debris Dragon, and then you can overlay those two to make Queen Dragon, and it just kind of just causes all kinds of stupid things. I mean, Debris Dragon could arguably be main deck now, as he can be used to special summon Totem Dragon, and now Golem Dragon, and just do all kinds of crazy stuff. Next up on the Dragons list would be Starbright Dragon. This level 4, 1900 attack light dragon type monster has a unique effect in that when he is normal summoned, you can select one other monster you control and increase its level by 2. Now this was made with synchro summoning in mind. After all, it was a promo for Tag Force 6, and this pretty much proves that we're never getting that game in English, by the way. But regardless, Starbright Dragon's ability has a couple applications. The first one is with Totem Dragon. That's right. Say you stand by face summon Totem Dragon. You then summon Starbright Dragon. Activate its effect. Totem Dragon is your target. Totem Dragon becomes level 4. You overlay those two. Make Queen Dragon. Activate her effect. Special summon Darkness Metal Dragon. Go from there. And he also has some neat applications with Delta Flyer. Suppose your Mass Dragon dies and you get a Delta Flyer. And then on your turn, you normal summon this guy. Starbright Dragon increases Delta Flyer's level to level 5. Delta Flyer then makes Starbright Dragon to level 5. This gives you a couple plays you can make. Number 1, you can make rank 5 Xyz monsters under these circumstances. So Tiras, Adrius, Volcasaurus, other kinds of rank 5 Xyz monsters are now available with this setup. Or you could just take these two guys, sync them for level 10, make Trident Dragon, and then attack for 9,000 damage. Fun stuff. His applications to Chaos Dragons are also worth looking at, as he is a light dragon type monster who can raise your own dragon's levels by a couple, and while it may not be that relevant, it can lead to some interesting scenarios, such as you flip summon a Raikou, you pop a card, and then you summon Starbright Dragon, you level up Raikou, overlay them for Queen Dragon, detach Starbright Dragon, and then you special summon like Pulsar Dragon from the graveyard. Derp derp. So, I would definitely look into gathering a couple copies of this card. He's only a common, so it shouldn't be too hard to acquire him. The other two dragons in this set are terrible. Those would be Influence Dragon and Ancient Dragon. I'm not even going to go over them to great detail. I cannot see how useful they would be for Dragon decks. Especially Influence Dragon. It's just, Delta Flyer is just a much better tuner. Ancient Dragon, I don't know what they were thinking with this guy. When you're playing like a light dragon type monster, there's just better choices. You've got Eclipse Wyvern, you've got Mirage Dragon, you've got even Different Dimension Dragon. I think they have superior effects, but who knows? Maybe someone will find some way to break this card in a way I can't imagine. And that's pretty much it for the contents of this video. I hope it helped you guys get a good idea of what you are looking for when you go to your Galactic Overlord sneak peeks this weekend. And hopefully you'll be able to get most of the cards I mentioned on here. I apologize if there are some cards on here I missed. It's just I wanted to talk about the most important ones, which would be the Heretics, Queen Dragon, and Draconection. Those would be my top cards for this set. Otherwise, the set as a whole just really isn't that outstanding. I mean, it's got card D, a couple one of single cards, and then that's pretty much it. If you're not playing Heretics, the box isn't not worth buying. I don't see myself getting a box at all, actually. Which is a shame, because it's got Kaito on the cover, but regardless, it's just, I think I'll just stick to buying a couple boosters now and then. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you all for watching, and until the next time, take care.